Welcome back to The Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled you're hanging out with us today. Look, if you're the kind of person who loves to learn, grow, and really figure out what makes you tick, even in those moments when you're acting, well, a little crazy, you are in the exact right place. Today, we're diving into an incredible framework from a text called 12 Steps to a Good Life by Thomas Alethea. We're going to break down a highly specific, totally game-changing tool to untangle our emotional messes. And the best part, we're going to do it without getting bogged down in hundreds of pages of massive journaling. It's called the Super Simple Self-Inventory. But right out of the gate, I want to ask you a question. Seriously, think about your own life for a second. Why do we repeat the same mistakes? Why do we find ourselves completely stuck in these negative behavior cycles even when we desperately want to change? You know what I mean? Whether it's losing our temper over nothing, shopping just to feel a quick high, or endlessly procrastinating on a project that actually matters to us. We really don't want to do it, but we do it anyway. Well, the text reveals something fascinating. Our deep-seated behaviors are driven by causes and conditions that we often just can't see, mainly because we're stuck inside the box of our own worldview. Usually in recovery and self-development circles, the traditional fix for this is something called a Step 4 inventory. And let's be totally honest here, sitting down to do a massive traditional self-inventory can be absolutely terrifying. It's almost always viewed as this daunting, paralyzing, book-length investigation of literally every wrong you've ever done. It's no wonder people just quit right there. Sometimes the dark of ignorance feels way safer than the painful light of self-discovery. But here is the massive relief. The author provides a super simple format. This alternative is highly condensed, incredibly rapid, and fiercely targeted. It's specifically designed to quickly get to the absolute root of a disturbing issue without totally overwhelming you. So here is our game plan for today. First, the challenge of self-reflection. Second, the super simple inventory. Third, finding the fundamental problem. Fourth, mapping the affected areas. And finally, discovering your hidden payoff. Okay, part 1. The challenge of self-reflection and facing that discomfort. Let's face it, looking inward is incredibly intimidating. Our natural instinct is to just run away from that discomfort entirely and, frankly, blame the world for all our problems. But the author gives us this brilliant mental shift to help get over the fear. He says, Step 4 is an inventory, not an inquisition, an audit, not an exorcism. I absolutely love that framing. When you sit down to do this super simple inventory, you literally just need to view yourself as a neutral detective investigating a crime scene. You're dispassionately looking for the facts, the causes and conditions that led to your thoughts and behaviors. You are not keeping a scorecard of your sins, and you are definitely not punishing yourself. It's just a simple audit of your internal systems to see what's working and what's broken. Moving right along to part 2, the super simple inventory and the 4 quick actions. With that neutral detective mindset locked in, we can start using this highly condensed format to rapidly break down whatever event is bothering us. The tool is just 4 brisk chronological actions. Step 1, you name the event or the person that triggered you. Step 2, you find the fundamental problem at play. Step 3, you check the exact area of your life that's being affected. And Step 4, you identify your hidden payoff. By forcing yourself to walk through these rapid-fire steps, you instantly bypass the chaotic swirl of your emotions and bring pure, clear logic to a really painful situation. Which brings us to part 3, finding the fundamental problem to identify the root issue. You know when an event happens that just throws you completely off balance, your emotions feel like this massive tangled mess, right? To fix it, we have to force ourselves to identify the true underlying issue. The super simple format does this beautifully by giving you a checklist of the big 5 fundamental problems. You just look at the event and ask, okay, which of these is the primary driver here? Is it resentment or anger because someone crossed a boundary? Is it fear of losing something? Is it a complex issue around sex and intimacy? Is it selfishness, like you're just demanding things go your way? Or is it dishonesty? Simply checking off one of these specific categories is so powerful because it instantly narrows down that absolute chaos of emotion into a manageable, clearly defined choice. Next up is part 4, mapping the affected areas to find the blast radius. Once you've nailed down that core problem, you have to map out the blast radius. When something triggers you, you've got to step back and ask, what exactly is my ego reacting to here? What specific part of my life feels threatened? The text gives us a great list of the usual suspects. Is your self-esteem threatened? What about your physical or emotional security? Are your ambitions or deep desires being blocked somehow? Is someone challenging your control over a situation? Is it impacting your personal relations or maybe even your finances? By pinpointing exactly what part of your life feels like it's under attack, you start to clearly understand why your ego is reacting so strongly and so defensively. And finally, part 5, discovering your hidden payoff and your secret motivations. All right, now we are entering the absolute psychological crux of this entire framework, uncovering the secret motivations behind why we self-sabotage. There is this profound truth captured in the text, and it hits hard. It says, for everything you do, there is a payoff, and for everything you do not do, there is a payoff. We always tend to think we do self-destructive things purely by accident or just a lack of willpower. But the reality? We are biological organisms motivated by needs. Even our absolute worst behaviors are actually just attempts to fill a need or gain some sort of reward. So let's clearly define what this means. A payoff is a hidden benefit that you gain as the result of an action or even an inaction. Very often, this benefit is simply the temporary avoidance of really negative feelings like anxiety, shame, or fear. For example, the text uses procrastination. The author actually talks about avoiding college assignments and literally failing calculus 4 times. The misery of failing was huge, obviously, but putting the work off gave him a payoff. He got to temporarily escape the sheer fear and stress of actually sitting down and doing the math. Avoiding it felt better in the moment than facing the music. That temporary relief, that was his payoff. When you contrast a destructive behavior with its secret psychological reward, you almost always experience this massive aha moment. Think about it. Why do we gossip? Well, often, the hidden payoff is a temporary feeling of superiority that masks our own deep insecurities. Or why do we obsessively ruminate over past problems? The hidden payoff there is that it keeps us from having to take real, frightening action in the present moment. The behavior itself is totally negative, but the payoff is exactly what keeps us coming back for more. So the crucial takeaway here is that by combining these steps, naming the event, finding the problem, mapping the affected area, and exposing that sneaky hidden payoff, you can actually break the cycle. You are literally taking the behavior out of the darkness of your unconscious mind and putting it right under the bright light of an audit. Let's look at exactly how this plays out in practice. Let's put all the pieces together in a quick mock inventory. Say the event is procrastinating. We check our fundamental problem. Boom, it's fear. We check the affected area. It's threatening our ambitions. And then we identify the hidden payoff, avoiding anxiety. Or let's take another one. Event, gossiping. Fundamental problem, selfishness. Affected area, self-esteem. Hidden payoff, feeling superior. Do you see how incredibly fast and illuminating this is? In just 4 simple columns, you can completely deconstruct exactly why you are acting against your own best interests. You have diagnosed your internal machinery. Mastering this quick, highly condensed inventory does something truly magical for you. It shifts you from being a helpless victim of your own confusing emotions to an active participant in reality. You're no longer sitting there wondering why you keep making the exact same mistakes over and over. You can clearly see the underlying fear, the threatened ambition, and the sneaky psychological payoff driving the whole shebang. And once you can see it, well, you can finally choose to change it. So I want to leave you with a final, provocative question to chew on for the rest of your day. Take a hard look at a negative behavior cycle in your own life right now. Really think about it and ask yourself, what hidden payoff is currently holding you back? What temporary comfort or avoidance are you gaining by staying exactly where you are? I highly encourage you to use this super simple inventory to find out. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer today. Keep learning, keep exploring, and I'll catch you next time.